Today we're talking about 3 popular fat loss tips that you should never, under any circumstance, follow. So before we dive into the 3 popular fat loss ideas that just aren't going to help you reach your goals, we first need to talk about the basics of fat loss and metabolism so that way you understand why these popular fat loss tips aren't actually going to be useful. So when we're talking about fat loss, it truly all comes down to one simple concept, and that's energy balance. Meaning how much energy are you putting into your body versus how much you're burning. So at the end of the day, if you're burning more calories than you consume, you will lose body fat. And although this concept is incredibly simple, people underestimate just how complex it actually is in practice. There are many factors that go into how many calories you burn on a daily basis. It's not simply just how many calories you're burning during your workouts or how much you're moving throughout the day. The factors that actually go into your total daily energy expenditure are basal metabolic rate, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, exercise activity thermogenesis, and the thermic effect of food. So if you notice in this diagram, 70% of our total TDEE actually comes from our basal metabolic rate. And basically, basal metabolic rate just means the amount of calories that your body is going to burn while at rest just to perform necessary functions. And our BMR is largely influenced by genetics. But regardless of what your natural BMR is, I've got some great news. There's actually a supplement you can take to increase your basal metabolic rate. Alright, I'm just fucking with you guys. There's not actually a supplement you can take to increase your BMR, but you can actually increase your BMR by building more lean muscle tissue. By building muscle tissue, your body is going to burn more calories while at rest, which is going to make it significantly easier to lose body fat. So now that we have a basic understanding of energy balance and metabolism, we can go ahead and dive into the 3 popular fat loss tips that you should never follow. So terrible fat loss tip number 1 is cut out carbs because they make you fat. This couldn't be further from the truth because carbs do not make you fat when total calories are accounted for. And sure, if you're eating a ridiculous amount of carbs and it's putting you in a calorie surplus, of course they're going to make you fat. But it's important to understand that the carbs themselves aren't making you fat, it's actually the overall calorie surplus. Carbs are actually our body's preferred fuel source, and eating a sufficient amount of carbohydrates is going to lead to better performance in the gym, which is going to lead to new muscle tissue, which is going to increase our basal metabolic rate. How many times have you personally heard or experienced, oh, when I was on that low carb diet, I lost 20 pounds, but yeah, I ended up putting it right back on. It's because it's not a sustainable approach, so stop doing it. Eat a sufficient amount of carbohydrates and fuel your body. If you're still on the fence about this and you're like, I don't know, I think I need to cut carbs from my diet, I have the perfect example to prove you otherwise. So this is a transformation from a client of mine from Australia. When he joined the program, he was avoiding carbs like they were the plague, and he was stuck at a body fat percentage that he simply wasn't happy with. Frustrated and not knowing what to do to break past his plateau, he committed to the Timeless Aesthetics coaching program, and as a result, you guys can see what happened. The first thing I did was reintroduce carbs back into his diet. And when we did this, he ended up putting a few pounds on, but I told him to trust me and trust the process, and that in the long term, he was going to break through this plateau, reach his fat loss goals, and be able to keep it for good. By slowly increasing carbs in his diet, focusing on improving training performance in the gym, and keeping him in a calorie deficit, he was able to lose about 18 pounds and get to the look that he wanted, and now he's going to be able to sustain this look and this lifestyle. Alright, so moving on to the second popular fat loss tip that you should never follow. Stop eating after 6 p.m. because it's going to make you fat. Not only is this simply not true, but it's also incredibly difficult for most people to be consistent with. So after what we talked about at the beginning of the video, we know that energy balance and being in a calorie deficit is the key to fat loss. The time that you consume those calories has absolutely no effect on your overall fat loss. All that matters is the total calories consumed. The reason that most people see success when they stop eating at 6 p.m. or with any time restricted diet like intermittent fasting is because by closing their eating window, they're just lowering their overall calories consumed. And look, if time restricted eating works for you and you like intermittent fasting, or you personally like stopping eating at 6 or 7 p.m. because it helps you control your total calories, I'm actually in full support of that. But for most people out there, time restricted eating isn't going to be the way to go for their lifestyle, And it's not the only way to go about fat loss. So here's another client who successfully went through the Timeless Aesthetics coaching program. So when he joined the program, he was also stuck, wondering what he should do to reach his fat loss goals. And after searching through the internet, what he decided he was going to do was stop eating after 6 or 7 p.m. every day. And not only was this just incredibly hard for him to be consistent with, but it actually didn't work even when he was consistent with it because he didn't take his overall calories into consideration. Once he joined the program and I assigned him a specific calorie and macronutrient goal, he was able to eat at any time that he wanted as long as he hit his calorie and macronutrient goal, and as a result, you see the transformation that he had. So now moving on to the third and final popular fat loss tip that you should never follow, and that's lifting with light weights, doing high reps and tons of cardio to reach your fat loss goals. So many people out there are convinced that lightweight, high reps, and tons of cardio is for toning the muscle, and lifting heavy is for bulking and building. But the truth is, there's no way to actually tone a muscle. You simply have to build the muscle and then lose the body fat to give it that toned look. So look, in the beginning of the video, we already established that your BMR is actually responsible for about 70% of the calories that you burn on a day-to-day basis. And we also said the way that you can improve your basal metabolic rate is through building lean muscle tissue. And I'm here to let you guys know the truth, that lifting lightweight, high reps, and doing tons of cardio isn't going to help you build muscle tissue and increase your BMR. That type of training just simply isn't going to damage the muscle fibers enough to force them to grow back bigger and stronger. If you want to actually build muscle tissue, you need to be lifting with moderate to heavy weights in the 6 to 15 rep range and actually training close to mechanical failure. And there is some nuance to this that I could really dive deep into. All you need to know for the sake of this video is that lifting light weights and doing high reps isn't going to help you build muscle, and building muscle is absolutely essential to increasing your basal metabolic rate and helping you lose fat quicker and more sustainably. Here's another client of mine who successfully went through the Timeless Aesthetics coaching program. When he joined, he was doing a circuit style workout, very similar to like a CrossFit style, and he was doing very high reps with very light weight. And what I did is completely changed his training program, had him lifting moderate to heavy weights in the 6 to 15 rep range, and set him up with a training program that gave him enough volume to stimulate growth. And as a result, he actually started to put muscle tissue on even while in a calorie deficit, and he broke through his plateau and reached his fat loss goals. So to wrap up this video and kind of bring all of these points together, I think the biggest takeaways for you guys is first and foremost that you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat. And if you are losing body fat, it's a result of that and nothing else. Now, with that said, you have to put an emphasis on muscle building or at least muscle retention while you're in a fat loss phase, so that way your basal metabolic rate doesn't decrease and you're able to burn more calories while at rest. So focus on building muscle by training hard in the gym, eating a high protein diet, and eat in a 500 calorie deficit if you want to lose about 1 pound a week, which is going to be most optimal and sustainable for most people. So that's gonna bring the video to an end. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content. And if you're looking to take your physique to the next level and you want to build a body that is truly timeless and aesthetic, click the link down in the description to apply for the Timeless Aesthetics coaching program, and you'll hear a response from me in less than 24 hours. So until the next video, guys, keep pushing, keep persevering, and keep it positive.